It all starts right now here on the newest episode of Jung Love.
Welcome to this week's episode of Jung Love. We are your hosts, Petrinjak
and Kayla Puzdrakiewicz.
This is the most accurate dating show on the air, and you're all contestants. And tonight we have a super special educational edition of Jung Love, where we're going to discuss the man who inspired it all, Carl Jung!
Let's get started. Let's begin with his life story. Carl Jung was born July 28, 1875, in Kessel, Switzerland. His father, Paul, was a clergyman who lost his faith in religion. His mother, Emily, was mentally ill. As a child, Jung was solitary and introverted. He believed, like his mother, he had two personalities. One, the modern Swiss citizen. The other, more fit to live in the 18th century.
In 1903, he married Emma Rauschenbach, the daughter of a wealthy Swiss family. The two had 5 children together, but all throughout their marriage, he had lots of extramarital affairs. However, he did stay with her until her death in 1955. In 1895, he started studying medicine at the University of Basel, and then in 1900, he transferred to the University of Zurich, where he started working in the Bergholzli Asylum. There, he witnessed emotional responses from the mental patients in response to words with immoral context,
i.e., bad words.
This is where he formed his theory of the collective unconscious. This is the idea that all humans have basic archetypes and things that we all understand from birth, even without having to learn them.
Jung worked with Sigmund Freud for 5 years until professional differences ended their friendship. He published his work, Psychology of the Unconscious, in 1912. In this, he directly contradicts some of Freud's theories.
Jung believed that there were 3 main archetypes. They're the anima and animus, the shadow, and the self. The first of the 3, the anima and animus, is the feminine tendencies in men and the masculine tendencies in women. Jung believed that both genders exhibit these traits from spending years living together.
The second, shadow, represents the animalistic desires. This is very similar to Freud's id. It represents creation and destruction, and wants and desires. Third, the self, is unity of experience. Jung believed it was very important for a person to find him or herself. He wrote about this in his book, The Undiscovered Self.
However, these are not the only 3 archetypes there are. Jung believed that the number was unlimited and they all overlap each other without clear boundaries. Some other archetypes include, but are not limited to, the father figure, the mother figure, the innocence of childhood, the purity of maidens, the wisdom of the elderly, the deceptive trickster, and the hero. Now's where the fun part comes in, psychological types. Jung published this book in 1921, and it defined the aspects of one's personality. Personality is broken up into 2 parts, the attitudes and the functions. The attitudes are introversion or extroversion, and the functions are judging or perception. From there, judging is split up into thinking and feeling, and perception is split up into intuition and sensing. Jung believed that all people fit into these different categories based on how they exhibit certain functions.
Using these labels, we are going to determine your perfect match. So everybody take out your quizzes and get ready!
First, we're going to determine if you're an introvert or an extrovert. But even before that, we've got to figure out what being an introvert or an extrovert is. An introvert gets his or her energy from introspection. Words to describe them could be shy or reserved, and usually they prefer to be alone as opposed to being in large groups. Extroverts, on the other hand, get their energy from social interaction. Words to describe them would be outgoing or approachable, and usually they prefer to be in large crowds rather than with small, intimate groups of people.
Number 1. I love to be the center of attention. Number 2. I make friends very easily. Number 3. I can always find things to talk about even with a total stranger. Number 4. I prefer being with a lot of people rather than just a few. Number 5. I am not very shy. Number 6. I feel happiest when I am with others instead of when I am alone. Add the numbers together that you wrote down. If you score less than 0, you are probably an introvert. If you score greater than 0, you are probably an extrovert.
Now that we've decided whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, let's figure out if you perceive by intuition or sensing. Sensing is the collection of data through the 5 senses. These people are in tune with what they can directly observe, but not with theoretical ideas. Words to describe them are observant. Intuition is making references based on judgment and gut feelings. These people think more creatively and abstractly. A word to describe them would be a good judge of character.
Number 1. I can think outside of the box. Number 2. I am eager to try new things. Number 3. I trust my gut instincts. Number 4. My first opinion of something or someone is usually right. Number 5. I can see the big picture without getting hung up on details. Number 6. I am skilled at reading between the lines. Add together the numbers you wrote down. If your score is less than 0, you probably perceive by sensing. If your score is greater than 0, you probably perceive by intuition.
Next, we're going to figure out if you judge by thinking or feeling. Thinking is evaluating logic guided by experience and facts. Words to describe them are logical, rational, and grounded. Feeling is making decisions by emotions. They are considerate of others' feelings. Words to describe them are sensitive and empathetic.
Number 1. I am very idealistic. Number 2. I tend to sugarcoat things. Number 3. I get very stressed out when people are unhappy with me. Number 4. I am very caring and easily sympathize with others. Number 5. I tend to make impulsive decisions. Number 6. I would rather make people happy than do what is practical. Add together the numbers you wrote down. If you score less than 0, you probably judge by thinking. If your score is greater than 0, you probably judge by feeling. Look at your scores from the intuition or sensing and the thinking or feeling sections of this test. Which one is the most extreme? In other words, which is closer to the highest or lowest scores, 12 or negative 12? Figure out which section has the most extreme score. If it is intuition or sensing, then you function by perceiving. If it is thinking or feeling, you function by judging.
Now that you've determined what type you are, fill in the 4 corresponding letters into this slip of paper that we've provided. Then, give your slip to Kayla or me, and we will soon figure out your perfect match.
While you wait for your results, here's a recap of everything we've learned. Carl Jung is the founder of analytical psychology. He is a Swiss psychologist and philosopher who is best known for his theories of the collective unconscious and personality typology. The collective unconscious is made up of archetypes and basic symbols that all humans can understand without having to learn them. Also, Jung divides up the personality into 8 different possible categories: which one can use to learn about his or her own type and better understand him or herself. Finally, here are some of his famous quotes.
Show me a sane man, and I will cure him for you.
The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases.
Everything that irritates us about others can lead to an understanding of ourselves.
The word happiness would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes.
Who looks